I, 24-year-old female, and my now husband, 26-year-old male, wanted to have a very small wedding that only consisted of our immediate family and best friends. Our small wedding of 8 guests, excluding our parents, happened in my apartment living room, to save for a house in Europe. I made sure to keep my wedding a secret because I didn't want the stress of handling other people's reactions, since the usual wedding in my circle is extravagant and at the roof of a skyscraper or high-end resort hotel. I went to the same school, from elementary to high school, and the mothers of our batch made a friend group and still socialize to this day. I didn't really keep it hidden from my mom that I was bullied by a great number of students in our batch for most of my years there. So my mom understands how I would prefer to keep the wedding very small instead of being selective and hurting someone's ego. In school, the people who openly bullied me stopped when one of them stood up for me in middle school. We became best friends since, and she attended my wedding. 2 girls who transferred in later and didn't bully me also became my best friends and were invited to my wedding. I consider all 3 of them my maid of honor, MOH. We finally posted the wedding and lunch party on social media, and my mom's group chat was filled with surprise. I was the first in my batch to get married, and sadly, there were fewer congratulations and more angry people expressing betrayal because they weren't informed of from as far as my engagement. They expressed that it was similar to their best friend getting married without getting invited or informed at all. I felt confused by this because these people were neither my best friends, nor was I best friends with their child in school. Nevertheless, I told my mom to use me as the excuse to dampen the fire, as I, the bride, wished for this secrecy and not my mom. They instead insisted that it shouldn't have mattered because a mother's decision triumphs over a daughter's. After my mom's attempt to reassure them, they turned to painting me as the opportunist narcissist who only cares for herself since I didn't inform them of my wedding, and for using my MOHs for an extravagant wedding, which was far from the truth. A selective group of the parents, in my mom's friend group, started pitting fights between my MOHs and me by personally messaging the MOHs. When that didn't work, they pitted my MOHs' moms against each other, which unfortunately somehow worked. My mom, being overwhelmed by all this, blocked the people fanning the flames. They took this as evidence to show how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and how easy it is for my mom to throw away more than a decade of friendship. Since I moved to Europe with my husband, my mom is isolated. My father is busy with work, and my brother is busy studying abroad. I feel awful when I video call her, and she seems depressed seeing her closest friends now scared to even reply to her chat. Thanks so much for your encouraging words and feedback, guys. This really helps me ease my worries. I'll be visiting my mom for a whole month soon. I'll take this time to bring my mom to hobby groups to help her find new friends. Thank you for the suggestions. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This woman was never your mom's friends. They are status seekers and pot stirrers who want to know everyone's business. Your mother respected you and what you had been through, so she didn't inform them of something happening in the life of her extended family, you. I am sure your mother is hurting. Just like it hurts in middle school, it hurts as an adult when your friend group turns on you. Can your mother come and visit you for a vacation to get away from the reminders? Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Looks like the bullying jerks apples didn't fall far from the bullying jerks tree. Good for you for having your wedding for you. Good for your mom for standing up for you to this group. Shame on the group for making your wedding about them and their feelings. Maybe if their kids were decent human beings, they would have been invited. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all the support on my last post. It's been a chaotic couple of weeks, and I've got some updates that I think you'll find pretty shocking. So, remember how I mentioned that my mom's friends were upset about not being invited to my small wedding? Well, things escalated quickly. One of the moms, let's call her Karen, decided to throw a celebration of friendship party, which was really just an excuse to exclude my mom and talk trash about our family. My mom found out about it when she saw pictures on social media, and it really hurt her. But here's where it gets crazy. Karen's daughter, who was one of the bullies from my school days, got engaged. And guess what? She's planning a huge wedding, the kind that I specifically avoided. The irony is that she's inviting everyone from our old school batch, except for my 3 MOHs and me. It's like she's trying to show off and make a point. Now, onto my MO8s. They've been my rock through all of this, but the other parents have been trying to turn them against me. They've been spreading rumors that I'm using my MOHs for their connections and money, which is ridiculous because our wedding was so low-key. It's been tough on them too, because their moms are getting dragged into this drama. One of my MOHs, who stood up for me back in middle school, confronted Karen at a local coffee shop. She told Karen off for being so petty and causing so much unnecessary drama. Karen was taken aback and ended up spilling her coffee all over herself in the commotion. It was a scene straight out of a movie, and people in the shop couldn't help but stare. But here's the jaw-dropping part. Karen's daughter's fiancé reached out to me. He confessed that he's having second thoughts about the wedding because of all the drama and the way his future wife is acting. He said he admired the way my husband and I handled our wedding and wished they could do something similar. I was floored. I never expected him to come to me, of all people, for advice. In the midst of all this, my mom has been trying to stay strong. She's been going to hobby groups, like I mentioned before, and she's actually starting to make some new friends. It's been a slow process, but she's finding people who appreciate her for who she is, not for the drama they can stir up. Now, for the subtle twist of karma, Karen's daughter's wedding is coming up, and there's been a lot of talk about how extravagant it's going to be. But here's the thing. The venue they booked double-booked their date with a bigger, more high-profile event. They were forced to reschedule to a less desirable date, and now a lot of their guests can't make it. It's like the universe is saying that all the show-off behavior and nastiness just isn't worth it. As for my mom, she's starting to see who her real friends are. And my MOHs? They're closer to me than ever. We've all been through so much together, and these ridiculous attempts to break us apart have only made our bond stronger. I'm still in Europe with my husband, and we're happier than ever. We're building our life together, just like we planned, away from all the pettiness and drama. It's been a tough road, but seeing karma work its magic in such a subtle way has been a small comfort in all of this chaos. My stepbrother's bags hit the floor, and he expected a hero's welcome, but I wasn't playing host. He left, and the silence whispered of twisted fate. My 21-year-old stepbrother Joseph is home from college. Originally, his plan was to stay with us for a night, and then stay with his friend for most of the break, except for Christmas Eve and Christmas. Joseph helped his dad replace a second-story window on our house the other day and fell, got a concussion, and broke his elbow. He had a quick surgery to put in some pins or whatever. My mom asked me to clear out my second room, his old room, since he would be staying a little longer than planned. I cleared off the bed and then went to visit with my friend. When our parents got back with Joseph, they got mad that the room wasn't in good enough conditions for his high standards, I guess. I came back and cleaned up more of the room. Yesterday, he just laid around in the room all day, and to my knowledge, didn't need much. My stepdad had to work, and my mom had to leave for a couple of hours to pick up my grandparents from the airport and take them home. They told me to watch after Joseph, as if he's a child. When they left, I peeked into his room and he was asleep. I went to go see my friend again. I left his meds, a cup of water, and a note saying where I was and to call me if he needed anything. Otherwise, I'd be back a little later. I meant to only be gone for an hour or so. But you know what happens when friends get to talking and catching up. Plus, this was going to be the last time I'd get to see her because she's going out of town with her family for 2 weeks, then back to school, and our first visit already got interrupted. Well, to my surprise, my mom brought my grandparents back to the house so they could eat a quick dinner before driving them the rest of the way to their house. She called me upset and told me to get home. Later, when she got back again and Joseph's dad got home, they lectured me about trust and irresponsibility, going so far as to say I was a selfish brat for leaving when they told me not to. My argument back was that Joseph slept through everything and was fine. Besides that, while yes, I get he's hurt, he's a grown-butt adult and can take care of himself, and he could have called me if he needed something. I wasn't far away, and they didn't even tell me not to leave. They just said to watch after him. That doesn't require me to hover by his bedside for hours. A day later, and my mom has come around, but my stepdad is still angry. He made the decision to take a sick day today so he could stay home, but now he's blaming me for that, even though it was his choice. I told him he didn't have to because I didn't have any plans, but all he says is, that's not the point. Am I the idiot, or who is the AH? ETA. I'm an AH, and am not empathetic. I'm just not. That said, I did apologize. I also made it known that I don't feel I should be made to take care of him. He's not my brother, so I don't feel like I have to help him in the bathroom or anything. That's just wrong. Anyway, they agreed to not put that on me anymore. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. You should look up what a concussion does to someone. You were being very selfish. He's on medication, has a concussion, and a broken arm. You were only thinking about yourself. Also, don't expect too much if you ever need any help, because according to your logic, you're a checks notes, grown-ass adult. If you ask, then you are creating a double standard by your own hand. I'm willing to bet that they're going to throw it in your face, and you can do nothing about it, because here you are championing it. Comment 2. A concussion that major could have complications where he wouldn't be able to call. So yeah, you're kind of the jerk here. You should have had your friend come over to the house if you wanted to see them that bad. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a wild week, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the whole incident with Joseph and my parents, things took an unexpected turn. Joseph and I have never been close, but with him being stuck at home due to his injuries, we were forced to interact more. I thought it would be awkward, but it was surprisingly not. He started opening up about college life, his friends, and even his recent breakup, which I had no clue about. Turns out, his girlfriend cheated on him with his roommate, and that's why he was planning to stay with his friend over the break instead of heading straight home. As for me, I was still feeling the heat from my stepdad, but my mom was trying to play peacemaker. She suggested that Joseph and I spend some time together, hoping it would smooth things over. I wasn't thrilled, but I agreed. One evening, we ended up watching a movie in his room since he couldn't move around much. It was actually kind of nice, and we shared a few laughs. But then, things got steamy. Out of nowhere, Joseph leaned in and kissed me. I was shocked, to say the least. It was a moment of weakness for both of us, I guess. He was vulnerable, and I was there. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. The next morning, the air was thick with regret. We both knew it was a mistake, but we couldn't take it back. The heartbreak came when Joseph's ex-girlfriend called him out of the blue. She wanted to talk and possibly reconcile. I overheard the conversation, and the pain in his voice was clear. He still loved her, despite everything. It was a punch in the gut for me, even though I knew our kiss meant nothing. I felt used and foolish for letting my guard down. To make matters worse, my stepdad walked in on us having a heated argument about the kiss and the phone call. He was furious, accusing us of being irresponsible and disrespectful. The confrontation was intense, with accusations flying and old resentments resurfacing. Joseph tried to defend me, saying it was his fault, but my stepdad wouldn't hear it. The tension in the house reached a boiling point. My stepdad was now giving both of us the cold shoulder, and my mom was caught in the middle, trying to keep the peace. I was angry at Joseph for putting me in this position, and at myself for not keeping my distance. In the midst of all this, Joseph's friend, the one he was supposed to stay with, showed up. He had heard about the accident and wanted to check in. Seeing him brought back memories for Joseph of the life he had before the break, before the injury, and before the kiss. They spent hours talking, and I could tell Joseph was longing to go back to that life, away from the mess we'd created. As the week came to a close, Joseph's condition improved, and he started making plans to leave. He apologized for everything, saying he never meant to hurt me or cause more drama. I accepted his apology, but the damage was done. Our relationship, whatever it was, would never be the same. And so, here we are. Joseph is packing up to go stay with his friend, my stepdad is still angry, and I'm left feeling like I'm to blame for everything. It's been a journey of emotions, and I'm just trying to find some normalcy again. Husband's ex tries to wreck our peace, so we ditch her for Disneyland. She plays the victim, but the twist hits her like a ton of bricks. My husband, Tim, 34 years old, and I, 33 years old, have been married for 3 years. Tim has a daughter, Lucy, 13 years old, from a one-night stand. Both Tim and Lucy's mother, Deborah, were teenagers when Lucy was born. Deborah wanted nothing to do with Lucy and disappeared, so Tim had full custody and had been raising Lucy as a single dad when we met. I have been in Lucy's life since she was 6 and consider her my own. A couple of years ago, Deborah suddenly appeared back in our lives and contacted Tim, wanting to meet with Lucy. Deborah was a drug addict. I'm not sure if she still is, but I wouldn't be surprised, and generally not a great person for a kid to be around. However, Tim would allow Lucy to see Deborah once in a while. Lucy seems like she's just going through the motions with finally having her mother in her life. She doesn't particularly seem excited or upset. She just does as she is told. Deborah also has a boyfriend named Don. Recently, after Lucy came back home from dinner with Deborah and Don, she mentioned to Tim and me that she found Don very weird. He didn't explicitly say or do anything to Lucy, but she felt uncomfortable being around him. A few days ago, Tim had to unexpectedly go on a work trip to another country where he will be completely unavailable for 3 days. He won't have any type of service to communicate with us. That trip also happens to coincide with the time Tim and Deborah agreed that Lucy can spend a night at Deborah's. So I was the one dropping Lucy off at Deborah's, and when we got there, we saw Don sitting on the front porch, staring out at our car. I looked at Lucy to see if she still wanted to go in, and by the look on her face, I asked her if she wanted to go get ice cream at Downtown Disney instead. We live near Disneyland, and Downtown Disney is the shopping area right outside the park. She immediately said yes, so I got out of the car and told Deborah that Lucy doesn't want to do dinner anymore, and I'm taking her to Downtown Disney for ice cream. Deborah started screaming at me, saying I am a nobody trying to bribe her daughter with ice cream so she doesn't want to spend dinner with her own mother anymore. I told her Lucy doesn't want to go in and I won't force her. Deborah responded that Tim had agreed to Lucy spending the night at her place, and the matter is between her and Tim. She said I shouldn't be involved or make decisions because I am not Lucy's mother. That made me really mad. So, I hopped back in my car and drove Lucy to Downtown Disney. We actually ended up going to Disneyland as well for the rest of the day. Deborah has been spamming my phone, calling me all sorts of names for not forcing Lucy to spend the night at her place, and Tim is still unavailable and can't be reached for a comment. I genuinely don't think I was being a jerk, but I need some second opinions. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Tim agreed she could spend time with Deborah, not Don. You are currently acting in place of the legal parent. Tim trusted you with his daughter. He agreed to one thing, a night between Deborah and Lucy. You were presented with another thing, time between Deborah, Don, and Lucy has already stated she is uncomfortable with Don. Mute her calls. Don't block so you have records. Talk to Tim when he's available. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Lucy is 13, not 3, so I'm doubtful the ice cream is what swayed Lucy not to stay. If you would have said, "Do you want to go home?" Lucy would have jumped on that too. The guy gave her the creeps, and Biomom doesn't seem to care. Personally, if Deborah cares that much about seeing her daughter, she can go to court and get the rights, especially since Lucy doesn't seem to want to go. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, and I thought I'd give you all an update. After the Disneyland incident, things escalated quickly. Deborah kept bombarding me with angry messages, but I stood my ground. I knew I had made the right call for Lucy's safety and well-being. When Tim finally got back from his trip, I filled him in on everything that had happened. He was furious at Deborah for her behavior and worried about Lucy feeling uncomfortable around Don. Tim decided to have a serious talk with Lucy about her feelings towards Deborah and Don. It turns out, Lucy had been feeling uneasy around Don for a while, but didn't know how to bring it up. She was afraid of causing trouble or upsetting her dad. Tim reassured her that her feelings were valid and that he would always prioritize her safety and comfort. With Lucy's feelings out in the open, Tim confronted Deborah. He told her that Lucy's comfort was non-negotiable and that if she wanted to be a part of Lucy's life, she needed to respect her boundaries. Deborah was defensive at first, but when Tim threatened to limit her access to Lucy if things didn't change, she agreed to have Don keep his distance during her visits. In the meantime, Lucy and I have been spending a lot of quality time together. We've been bonding over baking sessions, movie nights, and even started a small garden project in the backyard. She's been opening up more, and I can tell she's feeling a lot happier and more secure. But the real shocker came when Deborah called us out of the blue, sounding very different. She admitted that she had been going to therapy and was working on getting her life together. She apologized for her past behavior and for not considering Lucy's feelings. It was a conversation none of us expected, but it was a step in the right direction. Deborah's change in attitude was surprising, but what came next was even more unexpected. One evening, while Lucy was at her place, Deborah's boyfriend Don showed up unannounced. Lucy texted me immediately, feeling anxious. I was about to head over when Lucy sent another message saying Deborah had stood up to Don, telling him to leave and that he wasn't welcome around Lucy anymore. This confrontation seemed to be the turning point for Deborah. She finally saw Don's true colors and how his presence affected Lucy. After that night, Deborah ended things with Don for good. It was a jaw-dropping moment for all of us, but especially for Lucy, who finally saw her mother standing up for her. Since then, Deborah has been making a genuine effort to rebuild her relationship with Lucy. She's been more attentive and respectful, and it's clear she's trying to be the mother Lucy deserves. Lucy is cautiously optimistic, and I can see the hope in her eyes that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. As for Tim and me, we've been working together to support Lucy through these changes. We've had long discussions about boundaries, trust, and how to move forward as a family. It's been a challenging time, but it's brought us closer together. And just when we thought things couldn't get any more intense, Tim surprised Lucy and me with a family trip to Hawaii. He said we all deserved a break from the drama and a chance to relax and enjoy each other's company. It was an incredible trip, filled with laughter, adventure, and some much-needed relaxation. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.